What's going on, everybody? Josh Engleman for Awesemo.com, and I am back with my NFL contenders for Wild Card Weekend, the kickoff, just Saturday. Keep your eyes peeled. Sunday video coming out tomorrow. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all of our other content goes live. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman so you can get updates to my sim results as we get closer to lock. Finally, let me know in the comments section, who are your favorite plays for this Saturday's NFL slate? I'm rounding out the bottom of my top 10. We're starting with DraftKings first. Antonio Brown, Cam Akers, DK Metcalf, Logan Thomas, and Terry McLaurin on the outside looking in. Who are my favorites for Saturday's 3-game slate? It's time to find out. First up, 5,500. I'm going to number 5, Ronald Jones, projected for 14.7 fantasy points. The game is in Washington, but Tampa Bay, 8-point favorites, 44.5 point total. Now, the football team's defense is actually pretty solid. 11th against the run, 2nd against the pass in Football Outsiders' defensive DVOA. I don't think that Ronald Jones is going for any sort of massive day, but he does show up in the optimal 36% of the time. That salary helps out a ton. You have to expect Tampa Bay will be out in front, at which point Ronald Jones could be in for a really nice second half. You're hoping that he gets in on the ground. You're banking on the carries here, much more so than anything else. But what you're really looking for, Tampa Bay controlling the clock, getting out in front, and slowly but surely taking them to victory. 44.5 points as a game total, not a very high number, but it's only a 3-game slate. I'm willing to overlook it because Ronald Jones is just too good of a point per dollar value. Or you could spend a couple extra shekels. 15.1 fantasy points for number 4, Chris Carson. He's 5,900. Seattle is at home against the Rams. Slight favorites, 3.5 points. Similar total, 42.5. And this is another really difficult defensive matchup. Rams are 3rd against the run, 4th against the pass. And once again, I don't expect this massive performance from Chris Carson. I just think that he is incredibly cost efficient. He shows up in the optimal lineup 37% of the time. He's only going for north of 30 fantasy points 4% of the time. We're talking 1 out of every 25 slates, maybe once a year you would see Chris Carson put up a game like that. Again, that's totally fine because at 5,900, it's not all that big of an issue. Showing up in the optimal lineup 37% of the time looks great. You would like to see a higher game total. You would like to see a better defensive matchup. But I think they're going to have to rely on Chris Carson to basically get the offense started. Establish the run. Ooh, I wish I didn't say that. Establish the run. Lead to the passing game. That way you can get someone like my number 8, DK Metcalf. If he gets going, it'll also open things up for Chris Carson. Now at number 3, we're finally getting into the quarterbacks. That would be Josh Allen, 7,500, projected for just shy of 26 fantasy points. Bills taking on the Colts. Buffalo at home, 6-point favorites, and this is the monster total, 51 points. Colts are good on D, 9th against the run, 8th against the pass. That's a very good recipe for success. However, I don't think it matters all that much for Josh Allen. 32% of the time he's going north of 30. He's in the optimal 43% of the time, and you can see that's a nice step up from Chris Carson. We've entered another tier. I love Josh Allen. Whether he's getting it done on the ground or getting it done through the air, things are looking good for him. That's enough to put him 3rd. I like one of his partners in crime. We'll definitely be touching on him in a second, but I wonder who's number 2? We're going to the opposite sideline now. 7,900, 17.9 fantasy point projection for Jonathan Taylor. Again, this game is in Buffalo for Indy. They're 6-point dogs with a 51-point total, and I think Jonathan Taylor is involved whether they're ahead or behind. This is the 17th ranked run defense. That stands out to me a little bit. 12th ranked pass defense. Nothing too crazy. We're talking about a relatively average defense, but I think that fits pretty well for Jonathan Taylor. And I like the upside. He goes for north of 30 fantasy points 11.5% of the time. You can see that's a much higher number than the Chris Carsons and Ronald Joneses of the world. That's why we're getting into a different tier. That's enough to put Taylor in the optimal lineup 46% of the time. You're seeing the impact of a higher game total. Just having a game have a total that's almost 10 points more than the other 2 games is going to bring those guys up considerably. There's just more fantasy points to go around. And that's what's putting Jonathan Taylor into my number 2 spot on DraftKings. Now, before we get to what I believe is very, very obvious number one play, one last reminder, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all of our other stuff goes live. You don't want to miss it. And then follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman. I put sim results there. You can't get those if you don't follow me, so just follow me. It's way more fun that way. Follow me on Twitter, get those updates. I'll have updates for the Saturday games sometime tomorrow morning, and then similar story again, Sunday morning, I'll have updates for the Sunday games. Alrighty, we're closing it out with the no-brainer, no doubt about it, number one option on this Saturday slate. You can see well above Jonathan Taylor's odds of being in the optimal. That would be Stefon Diggs, 7,700, projected for 21.7 fantasy points. Again, 6-point favorites, 51-point line. Diggs is going for north of 30 fantasy points 25% of the time. He's in the optimal more often than a coin flip. 56.4%. He has been monstrous this season, and I see no reason that stops on wild card weekend. I'm expecting a monster day from Diggs. By all accounts, I would expect that monster day also coming from Josh Allen. I love that pair. They're clearly the most popular stacking option this Saturday, and with good reason. Keep your eye on both of those guys in cash games on DraftKings. I think that's the ultimate way to start your lineup. But right now, he's getting the ownership, and I think it's well warranted. Stefon Diggs is the number one play for Saturday's NFL slate. Now, the second half of this video is supposed to be my FanDuel version, but take a look to the graphic I'm about to pop onto the screen. I don't have much else to say. Probably not the best way to do this, but you guys get the drill. There's not a lot of separation. I'm just going to talk about the same things. Diggs at the top, Taylor, then Allen. Chris Carson's a little bit lower on FanDuel. Ronald Jones a little bit higher, but relatively speaking, it's basically the same. There's not a lot separating Ronald Jones at 4 from Chris Carson at 6. There's a gap after that, though. You see Logan Thomas at 5 on FanDuel. He's 7th on DraftKings. The top 9 is the same on both sites. The only thing separating this top 10 is Antonio Brown at 10 on DK and Chris Godwin at 10 on FanDuel. So I would love to talk a little bit more about my top 5 plays on FanDuel, but you can see them, and I've already talked about them. Play some Logan Thomas. That's the only guy I haven't talked about. He looks really good. He's the top projected fantasy tight end this week. Keep your eye on Logan Thomas, but he's in my top 10 on DK. He's in my top 10 on FanDuel, and he's the only top 10 tight end to get. He's probably the cash game option on both sites. So if you're building a cash lineup, Logan Thomas is probably where you start unless you're trying to save a little bit more money. So I don't have anything else to add from the FanDuel perspective. It looks a lot like DK. Alrighty, folks, that will do it. Those are my NFL DFS contenders for the Saturday slate for Wild Card Weekend. Keep your eyes peeled. I'll have another version of this video for the Sunday slate coming out tomorrow morning. Like, subscribe, follow on Twitter. Good luck on this Saturday slate. Good luck on the Sunday slate. I'm excited to keep bringing these videos to you throughout the playoffs. It'll probably switch to a more showdown-centric vibe as we get into the next couple weeks. I'm excited for that. I hope you guys are. The showdowns are the best. Love playing them. Love making content for them. So keep your eyes peeled. Good luck.